Hiya guys and girls, it's Talon here. I've done so many train simulator tutorials that I've kind of run out of things to do with the game, and recently I've been watching this fantastic series by a YouTuber called Mentor, M-E-N-T-O-U-R, really worth watching, all to do with plane crashes, and what he does at the end of each of his videos is to do the plane crash simulated in Flight Simulator, and it's brilliant because you can actually see for yourself what happened. And then it got me thinking, could you do the same feasibly in Train Simulator? Well, yes and no. Yes, you can if you've got the right engines and the right track. In this case I have. No, because Train Simulator, normally if you come up towards a parked train, will give you an error box and just say collision with AI train. Older versions, they would let you actually have the crash. Anyway, so I thought I'd have a little bit of a play around, do this as the first video, might be the only video, might make it a series, don't really know yet, just to see sort of reaction and that sort of thing. So, the accident slash crash that I've picked for this one is a fairly obscure one from back in 1962 that was down in Torquay. So let's have a look at the engines first of all. So here we are, 25th of August 1962, and approaching us we have the slightly delayed 1050 from London Paddington to Kingswear, consisting of 14 coaches. Up the front there we have D833 Panther. D833 was the first of the Class 43 warships. She wasn't the first to be withdrawn from service, but she was the first cut up. On board we have Driver Bowden, we have Fireman Porter, and we have Guard Weston. Running about 10 minutes late, they've been reporting problems all morning with the wheels slipping, presumably because of the amount of carriages, even though the engine's perfectly capable, and the driver's actually been saying that he's had to use sand several times to keep the engine going. Now, following not far behind them, we have 4932 Hatherton Hall. This loco, built in 1929, broken up in 1965 in Bridgend. This was the 7:45 service from Paddington to Paignton. What actually happened with this train, it was originally a diesel that was pulling it. It was actually one of the sister warships, D845. The problem was, D845 broke down in Taunton, and Hatherton Hall was basically pressed into service at Newton Abbot just to take this train down as far as Paignton. The driver called Willett, was a bit dubious about this, simply because the problem was that he was 24 tons overweight for the engine. He knew it was going to be a bit of a struggle. This plays a big part in this. So here we go. He's approaching Torquay now. Now back in Torquay, D833 is leaving. Unfortunately, it's got a problem. It's got its wheel slipped back, and it's struggling. Struggling to attain even 15 miles an hour. The guard, Weston, actually said in the subsequent investigation that he was amazed it lasted this long. It breaks down. Now if we go a bit further down the track, it's literally only a couple of corners away. Now meanwhile, back in Hatherton Hall, Willett and Gregory have got a problem. Just the other side of Torquay, there's a 1 in 56 gradient that they know they're going to have to build up some speed for. Gregory, he's got his mind purely on coal. Willett, he's got his mind purely on getting there as quickly as he can, just to get this gradient. Now it is important to note, by the way, that Willett is a veteran of this line. He's been with the railways for 27 years, and a driver for 12 of them, so he knows this line pretty inside out. Now because of the right-hand curve, generally the driver, who's on the right, would ask the fireman to check the signals for him, especially on this particular stretch. Willett doesn't do this, and Gregory maintains afterwards, nope, he didn't ask me to check the signals. So as they come through this one, which is showing danger, Willett doesn't actually know what's coming ahead. Now the problem is that the next signal is just behind the train that's stopped ahead of them. And what happens? Well, the driver glimpses the signal. All of a sudden, the fireman sees it, and he shouts, "Stop." Willett slams on the brakes as hard as he can, but it's just too late. what results is a pretty nasty accident. So on top of this little bridge, Hatherton Hall hits the back of the other train, only doing about 5 or 10 miles an hour according to witnesses and according to the driver, enough to make the back carriage of the other train ride up, which I can't do in Train Simulator, and actually just ride on top of the bumpers and touch the smoke box. 23 people were injured, 7 were taken to hospital. They were released late that afternoon. It took a little while to clear the line, but then the investigation began. Now it has to be said that Bowden, Porter and Weston in D833 did exactly the right thing. As soon as they broke down, Bowden sent Weston back to the signal box to inform them. There was something, if you want to read the full report, there was something about the signalman maintaining that all of the signals were working absolutely fine that day, which, to all intents and purposes, they were. The blame then, of course, laid squarely in the hands of Wilmot and Gregory. No. Well, Willett maintained, as you can see from this angle, that A, he couldn't see the signals properly, B, the signals weren't working correctly, but to be honest with you, it wasn't a huge deal. There weren't any fatalities, and it was kind of like a watershed moment as well, because 1962, Steam's days were numbered anyway, so that would have saved the problem with the firemen having to look at the signals. But also another thing as well, was that only a few months later the whole line was actually due to be upgraded to electric lights anyway, which meant that a lot of this problem would have been rectified anyway. So, yeah. So it's like I was saying at the start of the video, this wasn't ever the most exciting accident to happen on British Railways, but it's one that I found very, very easy to do, just as a little test run. Now, I mean, if you enjoyed this, please drop me a comment, let me know you'd like to see more. If I've got the DLC, then I'll certainly do it, and hopefully edit it better next time as well. But yeah, it's given me something to do for an hour, and hope you found it interesting. And I'll catch you in the next one.